we got to play
Sankore, the Pride of Mansa Musa.
Yep. So this game is a pretty heavy Euro, but before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell because
they're super cool.
Because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here.
It's a limited time offer.
Legends of Nirvana. All right, guys. Let's get some more stuff about this game.
All right, so this is a 2024 release. Overall rank is 2,281, which is pretty good for a relatively new game. Rated 8.0, which is really good. Plays 1 to 4 people. We have not tried it solo, but you've done it only 3-player. You guys done it 2-player?
We did 2-player, and we did it now
4-player.
4-player. So we've done it quite a few different times. Plays it in 150 to 180 minutes, and that's being generous because it took a lot longer than that.
It took a lot longer than that.
It is for ages 14 and up, which I think is very accurate because it is a pretty heavy Euro. Designed by Mandela Fernandez Grandin and Fabio Lopiano, which is one of our favorite designers. He's done a lot of our games. And art by the awesome Ian O'Toole. Published by Osprey Games. Now, lots of different price points. So on retail, just MSRP is $90. I've seen it for Card House and Miniature Market for $72. Goes up at all the other places, but Geek Market's actually got copies for $49.
Okay.
So pretty cheap.
All right, so let's get into quality of components. There are a lot of wooden bits with a lot of screen printing. So that is pretty cool. You do have this large main board as well as a sort of inlaid board, player board. It's inlaid in the fact that there's holes to place.
The main board has a layer.
Your table is the other layer.
Right, right. So not as some of the nicer,
but it's functional.
Inlaid, but it is very functional. So we'll give them that much. Also, there is a linen finish on the main board in and of itself.
Cards do not have a linen finish, though.
Yeah, cards don't have it. But honestly, these are just cheat sheet.
Well, you got the cheat sheet, and then
the little bitty cards.
Yeah. Now your resources are cardboard, not even wooden bits. They are shaped sort of to the thing. Gold's kind of weird looking though.
It looks like a melted Rolo.
It does. It looks weird. I don't know why they went with that.
Did it taste like a melted Rolo?
I didn't try eating them.
Okay.
So there's that bit of it. Overall, what was the price point on this sucker?
$90 retail.
That's the MSRP.
Yeah, MSRP is $90. So
That's
I saw it as cheap as $45.
Really nice,
I mean, like I said, they're wooden bits with screen printing,
and you get a lot of stuff. I mean, it is a big game.
Yeah, I mean, the wooden bits don't bother me. They're not quite as nice of books as what you get in Alma Mater, but they're still pretty nice.
Right? No, I mean it's fine. It's fine. It's just it's $90, and there is a lot of bits. Overall, giving it a score, but there's nothing that really stands out about this. I'll probably give this a 7.5. I think it's fine.
I think 7.5 is good because it is screen printed wooden bits, so you get a lot of it, and it's pretty nice for what it is.
If it weren't for the resources being cardboard, I probably would have gone 8.5.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
I'll give it a 7.5. I think it's fair.
Yeah, if they had done something better with the resources, I agree. All right, so then moving on to the actual theme, you're giving classes. That's something. You're traveling on the sport to get salt. You're going to mosques to get books, education.
Well, everything you do in the game is educating you.
Yes.
It's going to increase your levels of knowledge in a particular
So whether it's
fashion.
Theology, math, astronomy, and
law.
Yeah, but
law,
it wasn't really advancing you. I mean, there were some things that advanced your board, but you really only got advancement to your board over here in that location. I don't know.
Each part didn't feel like theology. It didn't feel like math. It didn't feel like
but you did,
astronomy.
But you got a stronger value each time you took the same action.
True, right.
So you were building up your strength.
The education part, I can see it, but the education topics, you don't feel that at all.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's the actual thing that I think was kind of weird. All right, you have your personal strength, right? But then you also had, and this I guess gets into, but then you also had general knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And general knowledge, I felt spiked so fast, it really was pointless.
Well, in order to reach the top tiers, you still had to have some knowledge in your own
Yeah, but like 2.
Yeah, it didn't take
So-
a lot. Yeah.
So no, I mean, it didn't really feel like you were upgrading you very much. It was more of you're just waiting for people to raise it. The theme was very loose. That's what I feel like. Since we're talking about theme. However, I did like the art. I did love the color palette. I love the purple and the teal. Absolutely. I didn't get too much play with the blue, so it was not in my future. So for theme wise, I still think it was kind of light. I'll give it a 6.5. I mean, you can't tell me it's thicker than Catan.
I think it's definitely thicker than Catan. I think
Not by much.
No.
Theme-wise, I think it's definitely more than Catan. Just not a whole lot, but it's definitely more.
Right, that's why I said 6.5. I mean, it's not like crazy amount more.
Well, I'm going to probably go with 7 because of the art and the
art is
color
pretty.
and everything about it to me lends itself to gaining knowledge and sharing it with the world. I think that all makes sense. It doesn't feel like you're doing math, although it does look kind of like a spreadsheet or a graph. But I mean, in general, you're not doing.
For me, it wasn't the gaining of knowledge, and it's. For me, it was like, okay, you're supposed to be about gaining knowledge, and you're supposed to be becoming more powerful in your knowledge. I didn't feel more powerful towards the end of the game, and so.
Well, it's about sharing your knowledge with the world too. It's not just about you gaining the
Well, I
knowledge
didn't
and
feel like
keeping it for yourself.
Well, but I didn't feel like I was sharing it either.
Well, that's what opening the board up was supposed to represent. More students were taking your classes in.
Right,
that
general knowledge was
progression.
increasing. I get that.
I did feel the progression because as these opened up, you got to do more powerful things.
Right,
later
but it
on.
was based
so
on.
I felt the progression. I mean, thematically, I didn't feel the progression, but I felt the progression gameplay wise.
Yeah.
So it's just not there thematically. For me, thematically, it's the artwork. I think it's a beautiful board.
Yeah.
The art on it, the graphic layout, the design of it is fantastic. It's a beautiful game. But, mechanics and theme, as far as how the theme feels, it's not really a whole lot there for me. So I'm a 7.
7. Okay.
I said 7.
Yeah, I was at 6.5. So, all right. So moving on to the actual rule book.
Right.
That thing was a beast. How do we know this? Well, that's because
it is.
Adam-
It isn't.
Adam read that book like multiple times. He watched
Yeah.
several playthroughs. You attempted to read it more than once.
Yeah, it's 24 pages in length.
I thought I read fine,
Yeah,
because
it's-
I got to look at it.
It's
and
not
I'm good.
complex to read. It's just there's 24 pages and it's a heavy game. So there's the first multiple pages up through. Setup actually takes you all the way through page 9. So you've got a lot of just getting the pieces.
The setup,
out,
the setup
setting
is
it
a
up.
lot, just because there's a lot of bits.
Yeah. The gameplay starts on page 10 and it goes until page 18. So it's really, well, actually, game end scoring is on 18, and then solo mode is from 20 on. So it's only roughly about 10 pages worth of rules for this game. That said, there's just a lot of trying to figure out what is everything you're doing, because there's iconography, and there's things that trigger based upon other actions, and you got to remember all those rules.
Right.
They do have a cheat sheet, which gives you the overall high level of the different actions
I'm
that
sorry,
you can take on a turn, but it doesn't tell you how that action works.
No,
It
but,
doesn't-
but,
it
but it
doesn't
was
help.
useful. It was useful because
There's a guide.
Yeah, because it
Remember.
reminded me of what I can do. What that meant beyond what I can do, I have no
Yeah.
idea, because this game kind of melted my brain a little bit. But, at least it reminded me,
Yeah.
oh, I could do that. Or, oh, I don't know why I want to do that, but I can do it.
Yeah.
So-
So I mean, apart from the glaring misspelling of enroll to be enroll, I don't think there was anything
Right.
that stood out as being a hole in the rules. We didn't have to look anything up online to learn to play. We just had to
Right.
keep referencing the rules to try to make sure, does this happen before that, or what does this icon mean, and how does it trigger?
Sure.
So there was a lot of just those little tiny minutia in it. I'm going to go ahead and give this rulebook, probably because of the fact that they were able to get it as condensed as it was into really 10 pages of rules for this complex of a game. I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So moving on to the actual gameplay. this is where it gets a little complicated. So we're going to do a general, very brief of the rule because this one is a heavier rule. There is 5 different actions that you can take. You can take 2 of those in a given turn, however, but they have to be different, which made me sad more than once. All right, so the first thing that you can do is enroll in student. Okay, so for example, to take your main actions, you have to have students willing to take your classes. Otherwise, you cannot give them a class. So you get those students off of these boards right over here. You'll take one and you'll place it based on the color of the student on the appropriate beginning class.
But you can't just choose any student. You have to choose the lowest ranked student on the board. So you're limited in your color choices. There's 4 different colors of students as far as
it's random
what they
on
do.
how they come out.
Right. And then not only that, though, there may be resources or things that trigger based on when you pick up a student. My complaint with this is that we weren't even halfway through the game and all the students were gone. And that made things a lot rougher.
Well, for me, it was rough because one of the big parts of getting stuff that allows you to do extra actions, I never got any of those because the orange students were gone relatively quick. And so, I mean, you can do other color students to do that orange section. You just don't get bonuses. Mm-hmm. And those bonuses are really important.
Yeah, they really are. It's true. So that is one thing about the game. And then establishing an advanced class, aka you're basically going to get a tile because when you start off with all the basic
you only get
courses
4 of each
yeah,
color.
You
One
get,
of each color, and they're very basic.
Right. So
and you get one random draft.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. So then your second, it's a pyramid system. So obviously, the more advanced tiles you can go up, the cooler of the abilities that do exist.
But they're still color specific.
Yeah.
They are still colored specific. So basically, if you get a green tile, you can only do the green actions when you do the green tile.
Well, you can only do the green actions, and you can only get the bonus with a green
person.
Worker.
Yeah, green worker or student in this case. Then you can teach a class. So that is when you move a student from the previous class into the next class, and basically you're moving them up towards the top of the
That's
pyramid.
really the main action in the
right.
game.
You pretty much really that is always one of your actions in the 2 actions that you can take.
And that's how you activate these big sections of the board, is by taking a class.
Right. And then we'll go over those here towards the end. And then graduating as a student, at any point you can take the student off the board and graduate him, and then you get prestige based on his level of education in the color that he represents. And then last is exchange a favor, so you can put this on your board. Randy has too many of them.
Or you can remove one.
Or you can remove one. If you place one on top, you get from where you're at on this track, you get that special benefit. All right, so those are the actions you can take. Now, teaching a class, if you teach a class, based on the tile that you're teaching, so that is based on the color. So there are 4 different quadrants: purple, teal, orange, and
blue.
Midnight blue. And so basically, very briefly, here the purple gives you books. Books is what you need to put out walls, which will then give you money, which money will let you upgrade your board and gather salt. And then to get the books in the mosque, you have to have the salt. So you have to kind of do all of it's basically this cycle.
In particular, it's the cycle of these 3. The orange is kind of the independent one, but it enhances your actions for all the different categories.
Right. I didn't get to do that enough.
I didn't do it at all, and I think it really affected my gameplay.
Yeah, and that's one of my grievances is both games we played, the orange has helped the player significantly. I felt like Adam was, the first time he was playing against me, was at least 1, if not 2 rounds ahead of me because of all the upgrades he had done to his board with the orange. This time I got the orange and I was enhanced, but I didn't have nearly as effective use of them as he had because I had spread them out 1 per each category.
Right. So just kind of keep that in mind. So that's kind of the brief synopsis. There is a lot in mind.
Yeah, there's a lot more minutia.
Right. So you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to
actions.
read the rules, and see some more intense playthroughs. Overall, this game for me. So basically, because of the pyramid tier system, the fact that you ran out of workers really quick, you really ended up stalling out in the end because you didn't have a lot of choices because there's only one action at the top, two actions in the middle. Your workers are gone, so you can't start them from the bottom, so you're really restricted on the actions you can take towards the top. So for me, and this is where you said you felt the progression, I feel like I lost capability as the game went on, and I think the end game kind of dragged on because of it. And that's where, like, because at first I was kind of jamming with it, but the longer we played, the longer I was losing, like, my enjoyment.
Well, the reason why I felt the progression is, let's say we talk about this dark blue, which is the astronomy, which will let you see basically how far you can see. And so, like the first round, you can only go a couple spots and then be able to settle and build a tent. But like by the fourth round, I was going clear across the board. And it didn't take any extra effort. It's just because the general knowledge got unlocked. And with me building a couple tents, it added up enough to where I felt that progression. But that's the only part of the progression I feel. Where early in the game I did limited, where later in the game they were a little bit more powerful. But that's it.
Yeah. And that's my thing is like it didn't feel like I was achieving it because like there was one I didn't do anything, but the general knowledge was so high I was able to place out some pretty powerful. So it wasn't like I contributed to that at all. I just got into towards the end of the game. So for me, it was like, okay, what is the benefit of getting into some of this stuff early? Because I didn't really feel that draw. That being said, like at the beginning, I was kind of enjoying it, and then it just kind of faded. Maybe the game ended up being too long, or maybe we just didn't wrap it up fast enough because I think I kind of lost my enjoyment as we went throughout. Randy, what did you think about it?
My biggest complaint about it is the scoring. It's very limited. This is one of the tightest games I've ever played from a scoring perspective. They have a unique scoring system where every time you take certain actions, you have to play books to a bookshelf. And the bookshelf, there's 3 rows to the bookshelf, and whichever color has the most gets 2 victory points for any prestige icons you collect during the game. And whoever gets second most gets 1. So you could potentially score 6 points off of one color if you got maximized it on each one, but it would be very tough to do because you basically would have to focus. Everybody would have to focus on that one color.
And then not only that, you're limited. So just like with the worker, the meeples, the students, you're limited in your books too. Mm-hmm. Like we ran out of the teal books because she was just taking them like crazy. Yeah, and we ran out teal very quick.
And we ran out of blue.
And we ran out of blue.
So, there was very limited, capability of placing the colors down. And in the end, it was like 2 to 2 to 2 to 3. It didn't pan out to be like, there was a huge difference. It could have been a significant difference.
And it's a low-scoring game. So, I mean, the highest score was what, 84?
55.
55. And so, we're used to playing point salads where we're getting 200-300 points.
Yeah, this one definitely is not a point salad.
There's definitely a satisfaction of getting all those points. And that's the thing is you don't know how well you're doing until the end.
I don't think so. I think that you know exactly how well you're doing because you can see how many books are up there and how many prestige tokens.
But you don't know these. You don't know the cards you end up playing. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I
didn't either. But
I felt lost. I felt lost the whole entire game.
Me too.
And I was just like, okay, well, I need salt to do something, so I'm gonna go get me. Like for me, it was just like, okay, I'm gonna try to figure out what to do. I did get second place, 47 to your 55, but still, it just wasn't. I don't know. For me, ended up losing a lot of luster towards the end. Giving it a score. What do you guys?
I think what did you give it?
I haven't given anything. That's what just down to the getting.
No, I thought you.
No, I think the game itself, it's kind of unfortunate because I think I'm going to give it the highest score, and I don't think I'll get a chance to ever play it again. It's one that's going to reward itself more with multiple plays, I think. That said, I still think there's problems with the fact that it's limited in its scoring so tightly that yeah, you if your color, you could potentially have everybody ganging up against you in the colors and just hose you completely in the game, and you'll get no points.
Right.
And as a result of that, you know, isn't as fulfilling as it could be if you had more ways of counteracting. And I didn't have a lot of opportunities to place books, until I started graduating people. I really had not, because the orange board doesn't give you where you can play books to the board very much. It's pretty much based upon just paying gold or paying salt, which you have to get from these other boards, which is the other thing. I had so much focus on the orange, kept running out of resources. I didn't have a limiting factor of students, I had a limiting factor of resources. So, everything's limited in this so tightly that I can see why you guys didn't enjoy it as much as I did, from a perspective. I had one more playthrough. I also had the opportunity to, I enjoy these heavier games that have a tighter feel to them. So I think I'm probably a 7.5 is where I'm at. I think it could go up, it could go down in this case. It's one of those cases that's kind of strange for me, but I have a feeling it's never going to go up because I'm not going to get to play it that often, and as a result, I'm going to forget how to play every time,
Right.
and we're going to have to try to work through the same, confusion every time we play.
What do you think, Rob?
So my major complaint is the downtime. While it's not my turn and it's everybody else's turn, they're taking a long time for the turns, understandably. So I'm not complaining that they need to. It's just it took so long for it to get back to me to do my turn. And with me not really understanding the rules real well and trying to connect the dots to really kind of figure out I need to do A so that I can get to B and then C, it didn't reward me for the amount of time it took for me to do my actions. I didn't feel that. So I can't give it any more than a 6.5.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was a lot of downtime. The game overstayed its welcome.
I mean, AP is going to be a real issue in this game.
Yeah. For me, I'm probably with you on the score. I kind of agree. It was functional. It worked. At the beginning, I kind of enjoyed it, but the longer it stayed,
I could definitely see where people would really like this game.
Right.
It's just not my cup of tea, and I think it's just. And I was telling him earlier, I just think as I'm getting older, I'm finding that the really heavy Euros that I used to love playing, I'm just not that good at anymore, and I'm just not that great at trying to do well. So it's just not my thing anymore.
Yeah. That's not my case in here. For me is that I felt more restricted as the game went on.
Sure.
And that's where I lost interest because I'm about building. I want to become more powerful throughout the game.
At least nobody messed with your stuff.
Yeah.
That is true. All right.
See, and to me, this game is definitely not about building. It's about basically taking advantage of the opportunities you have and maximizing your scoring potential. But
and that's probably why I don't like it.
There's so much of that tied to that one scoring vector, the board. And if you don't have ways to play books to the board, you're going to be finding yourself very limited in
I don't know.
scoring.
You could probably just collect a bunch of little icons and let people battle it out, and you probably end up winning if you just get enough tokens. I mean...
Well, and that's one of the things I do like. I think this graph chart, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the math part.
You can strategically place your walls in such a way. I only played 3 walls compared to Miranda played 6, but we got the same number of tiles because the way I played mine, I was able to maximize.
But I played mine before and there weren't things there for me to flip over, which made me eligible for them.
Yeah,
that was part of the problem. And the one thing that we didn't mention twice during the game, there is a kind of area control aspect to a lot of these. So if you have the most here, you'll get a book. The first time around, the second time around, you'll get a prestige token. Same thing over here. I think this happened over here. I actually did.
Yeah.
I literally did not one action on this board, and then over there as well. So, So there is. Anyway, could I have played it better if we play it again? Absolutely. I'm just not sure I want to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that I'm going to be very limited in my capability to play this multiple times. And if you don't play it multiple times, especially together, I don't think it's going to click with you.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, the biggest question, would you play it again? Rob?
I would play it again if Randy wanted to play it again, but if I get a choice when I pick a game, I would not pick it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. If Randy was like, please, I'd be like, I ain't setting it up, but fine. You know, I would...
It's the same thing with Battlestar. I'll take one for the team.
Right. I'll take one for...
Yeah.
That's right. I would take this for the team. It wouldn't be an absolute no. Because what was the
Right.
other one that I played that I... It's just the other day. What's
Sushi
the...
Boat.
Sushi Boat. Don't ever make me play it again. It's things like that no, this one I could tolerate.
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
tolerate this one. What about you, Randy? Would you play it again?
I would absolutely play it again, but the question is, if on the rare occasion that I get to play a heavy Euro, would I pick this one? And I'm thinking I would enjoy Carnegie more, you know. So given the fact that how few times I've gotten to play Carnegie for this same reason, or in fact, I don't think you've even played Carnegie.
No, I haven't. Now I'm intrigued.
So yeah, I mean the thing is that there's a lot of really good heavy Euros.
Well, like Coffee Traders, we only got to play that
Yeah.
once, and that was freaking a good one.
I just learned how to play Civolution, and it's a pretty heavy Euro too, and I would definitely play that before I play this one.
Yeah.
Civolution was awesome.
So, given that, take that for what you will, guys. Well, guys, I had an absolute blast. Hopefully, you'll come hang out with us
No,
again.
you didn't. You didn't have an absolute blast. You were okay with it.
No, I had a blast hanging out with them and you.
That's different.
And not me.
I'm with you all the time. Well, guys, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
You're right. You know, in hindsight, I married the wrong guy.
That's not it.